Welcome to the second video in Module 1 of the full program theory at endhairloss.eu. In this video, we will talk about the importance of the muscles within the head and the face, and the role they have in the use of the techniques to stop hair loss with the full program. I talked about this subject briefly in the intro videos, but given the importance of this issue, I will go deeper into the subject in this video. This section contains important information regarding the use of our full process. At endhairloss.eu, we discovered that there is a strong relationship between hair loss and the muscles within the head and the face. There are a few basic ideas concerning the full program that we did not get to fully address in the introduction videos. During the last 20 years of research and study, we have discovered that an active use of the head muscles, mainly the occipitofrontalis muscle, in coordination with the temporal muscles, the auricular muscles, the eyebrow muscles, and a few small muscle groups in the higher part of the face, has the capability to reestablish blood circulation to the frontal, temporal, and occipital areas in the head vertex, where baldness occurs. At the same time, the muscle activity triggered by the production of the 3-alpha-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase can reconvert DHT into testosterone. This is something you saw in the second intro video, as you will see in video 1 of Module 3. On top of that, we have a second study about blood circulation and DHT formation from Dr. Brian J. Freund of Crown Institute, who states that the enzymatic conversion of testosterone to DHT is oxygen dependent. In low oxygen environments, the conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone is favored, whereas in high oxygen environments, more testosterone is converted to estradiol, which is a sex hormone not aggressive to the hair follicles. The special training of the head and face muscles that you will learn during this video course will assist in their rehabilitation if you've not used them for months or years. Their active use will open the capillaries at the base of the hair follicles, allowing the flow of nutritive substances contained in the blood to arrive inside the follicle. A series of chemical reactions which give life to the hair follicle and stop hair loss can begin. The cells inside the capillary follicles take their energy from the reaction of oxygen and glucose. These are the cells that transform themselves into a hair shaft through the process of keratinization. As oxygen burns the glucose, this frees the energy that is necessary for the cells to evolve into a hair structure. The blood flow also brings minerals that are absolutely fundamental for the creation and growth of the hair: magnesium, iron, copper, selenium, zinc, and sulfur, vitamins and amino acids. Without the blood circulation, these reactions cannot occur inside the follicle, and any hairs falling out will not be substituted by new hairs. The way we teach you to make use of the head and face muscles here at endhairloss.eu will make all of this possible. You will reestablish the flow of nutritive elements to the capillary follicle through the enlargement of the blood vessels, and at the same time eliminate the amount of excess DHT. With the full program, you can get the results treatments like minoxidil and Propecia are aiming for in a natural way without collateral effects. In order to speed up the reversal of your hair loss, there is an entire series of actions that you must do. These include things like good posture, corrections to your diet, the use of the proper hair products to regulate sebum, and the treatment of scalp irritations. There are also readily available supplements and vitamins to assist you in prepping your follicles. You will learn all of this during our program, but two of these are very fundamental steps to stop baldness. Once these two things are obtained, everything becomes much easier. In order to use this method in an efficient way, it is necessary to know the layout of the head muscles, their functions, and where the impulses that make them contract and relax come from. If you haven't used these muscles in the last 6 months to a year, they may have lost their strength and tone. As a consequence, the microblood circulation has decreased and is no longer nourishing the hair follicles. The scalp is like a soil that is not being watered, and it's getting thinner and thinner, as you can see in the head of this young guy. In this case, the substance that gives elasticity to the skin, called elastin, has been substituted by fibrous tissue that has lost all of its elasticity. The galea is a fascia of elastic fibers that connects the front and the rear of the head muscles. When the galea loses elasticity, it can prevent regular muscular contractions. One of the main goals with the program is to return the elasticity to the galea so that you will be able to train the muscles of your head for faster results. I return to discuss this point further in the practical videos, but remember, for this training to succeed, your galea needs to be elastic. Don't worry if right now it's not. I will teach you step by step how to achieve a loose scalp. Let's take a look at the head muscles that we will use in the training. The face and head muscles are part of the skeletal musculature and are controlled by the central nervous system. These types of muscles are called voluntary because you decide when to use them. These muscles differ from the involuntary muscles like the heart or the muscles of the digestive system, for example, which are not under our direct control. Any facial expression we are able to make is due to this characteristic of voluntary muscles. It is something you can control. The region over the cranium has one big muscle that is going to be the most important muscle you will use during our method. This large muscle is called the occipitofrontalis or epicranial muscle. From now on in this course, it will be called the OF muscle. This muscle is divided into three parts: frontal, intermediate, and occipital or posterior. These three areas of the muscle are connected to form one big muscle that covers the upper skull vault, as you can see in this image. The frontal part of this muscle consists of two muscular fascia, the right and left, which are symmetrically identical to each other. These fascia originate in the intermediate area of the head and extend into the skin, in the area occupied by the eyebrow and the nose muscle. The nerves which cross this part of the muscle extend to connect to the facial nerves. The OF muscle, when it contracts, brings the scalp forwards and causes distinct wrinkles of the forehead. The front side of this muscle can raise the eyebrows, pulling the scalp forwards at the same time, and can also provide a wrinkling in the forehead. The intermediate part of the occipitofrontalis muscle is formed by a fascia of elastic fibers that cross over nervous channels, called galea. The galea connects the frontal muscle to the anterior side, while connecting to the occipital muscle in the posterior side. This group of elastic fibers allows the first three strata of the scalp to move forwards and backwards on the membrane that covers the external surface of the skull. As I mentioned before, in normal conditions the galea is elastic, and it must remain elastic in order to let the scalp move forwards and backwards. This is one of the key factors you must learn in order to properly apply our hair loss reversal method. If your galea is not elastic when you try to bring the scalp forward, it will not move much and feel stiff. A stiff galea affects the OF muscle and does not allow for good scalp motion, which is vital to reestablish blood flow and deactivate excess DHT. Finally, we have the posterior side of the occipitofrontalis muscle, connected with its anterior part via the galea. While crossing the central area, it attaches itself to the temporal muscles with fibers made up of tendons. The posterior part is connected to small fasciae of muscle groups in the back of the neck. Alternating the activity of the anterior and posterior sides through the use of the galea, the whole scalp can be moved forwards and backwards, as you can see in this video taken from the practical section, which features Valentine from customer service. The eyebrows are raised from the front and are controlled by other small muscular groups within the forehead. The auricular muscles regulate the movements of the ears and contribute to the overall movement of the scalp, as you can see in this video. It's important to know that the face muscles originate from the surface of the skull. Let me help you understand the importance of this fact. There is a close connection between the head muscles and the supply of blood to the capillaries and hair follicles. The interruption of the blood flow inside the follicle caused by the constriction of blood vessels, the partial or total contraction of the precapillary sphincters, a band of smooth muscle that allows the blood flow into each capillary, and the progressive thinning of the hair along with an extra formation of DHT, is probably what is happening on your scalp right now. The speed at which your hair is thinning can be determined by the condition of how your follicles look. by how much blood reaches the inside of each follicle, and by the levels of both types of DHT. Different scientific studies have found evidence that blood flow can be reactivated in any part of your body by utilizing the muscles in the desired area. In this course, I will teach you how to achieve this effect on your scalp. Remember, like I said before, in order to contract, the muscles need energy, just like a car needs gas. The fuel to produce this energy is supplied by the reaction between glucose and oxygen, which the bloodstream then transports to each cell. If the muscles cannot burn the glucose, lactic acid is formed. This produces a tightening and makes it sore. The solution to eliminate this substance is to bring more oxygen to the muscle so that it can completely burn the glucose. So what really keeps muscles, including those of the head and the face, is the oxygen. This is transported to various tissues by muscular contractions, and in order to achieve the contractions, you must have good oxygenation of the tissues. From that point, you can focus on the rate of your blood flow. There is also an important protein that makes up the cells of the voluntary muscles called myoglobin. This protein binds easily to the oxygen molecules carried by the bloodstream and is able to store oxygen, releasing it at the beginning of physical training or when an increase in the intensity of the muscular effort is needed. When we require a muscle to contract, the myoglobin will release oxygen, allowing a reaction with the glucose and the resulting physical action. So let's recap. If you have proper blood circulation, oxygen, glucose, vitamins, proteins, and minerals are carried into the tissues through the network of veins, arteries, and capillaries called blood vessels. Myoglobin is the essential protein that muscles are made of. Myoglobin stores the oxygen carried by blood and releases it at the beginning of physical exercise or after a neural request for intense muscular effort. Oxygen, combined with the glucose in the cells, considerably increases the energy inside of them, allowing them to breathe and produce microchemical reactions that are vital for the tissues. The capillary follicles will stay healthy, energetic, and strong with the more blood circulation that is available to allow such a reaction inside the cells. Without the reactions between the oxygen, myoglobin, glucose, proteins, vitamins, and other minerals carried by the bloodstream, the hair follicles become weak, less energized, and more testosterone is converted into DHT with terrible consequences for the hair. By using the endhairloss.eu program, the bloodstream will stay abundant in the areas at risk and will permit the reaction between myoglobin, oxygen, and glucose to continue, preventing the DHT formation. This will keep the capillary follicles healthy and capable of growing in those areas where baldness has started or is progressing. In fact, hair, like nails, is not a dead part of our body. It is a living unit which grows and needs nourishment in order to stay alive. Many people suffer from bad microcirculation, unfortunately. People like this generally have hands or feet that are always cold. Have you ever seen ankles or shins where the hair is not growing anymore because socks tighten the tissues too much? Something like that can prevent good blood circulation. Blood can have trouble reaching some of the peripheral areas of the body. One of the areas that suffers the most in this regard is the higher part of the head. The large amount of bald people you see today is proof of that. A study by the Department of Dermatology at the University of Copenhagen scientifically measured the blood circulation in 14 patients suffering from hair loss. Using a method called 133XE, they compared the results with those of 14 patients with healthy hair. In the scalp of the balding patients, the blood circulation was 3 times lower. At endhairloss.eu, we were already aware of all this, well before the study took place, but it's always good to get a confirmation in the scientific world. I could mention several other studies, yet they all reveal that blood circulation seems to be the true key to stopping hair loss. What is the role of your muscles in all this? Well, let's analyze the area of the head where hair never falls out, even when we get old. This observation will help you understand a lot of things about hair loss, much more than what you've heard until now. Let's analyze 3 subjects. All of them suffer from hair loss, and all of them are different ages. Constitution and somatic characters differentiate these 3 subjects, but there's one thing that unites them. None of them has lost hair in these particular areas of the head, despite being between 20 and 65 years of age. Baldness presents itself in different patterns, as shown on the Norwood scale for men and on the Savin scale for female hair loss. The hair over the neck and ears always stays strong in each hair loss pattern, both males and females. It appears that the hair here remains healthy and doesn't fall out, even in the presence of cutaneous irritations. Why? After all, the structure and composition of the hair and follicles is exactly the same all over the surface of the scalp. Look at this man who's chewing gum. Notice how the area of the head over the ears and the neck moves in perfect symphony with the movements of the muscles of the mouth and the jaw. The chewing occurs through the coordinated actions of the various muscle groups around the mouth and the temples. The actions I'm speaking of using include most of the muscles used for chewing, among which I want to point out the temporal muscle. In this video, you can see that the contractions that the muscles of the jaw, together with the temporal and auricular muscles, give to the tissues over the ears and the neck is clearly visible. Thanks to the continuous movement of the temporal muscles and those related to the use of the jaw and the mouth, those parts of the scalp benefit from a constant flow of oxygenated blood. When we eat, chew, or speak, these muscles work continuously, ensuring a constant flow of blood to the tight network of capillaries that transport blood to the follicles. In addition, remember that in this way DHT is being neutralized by the 3-alpha-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase enzyme. In tissues that are well oxygenated, less testosterone is converted into DHT. Make sure to check back with video 1 of Module 3, where I explain the relationship between enzymes, muscular motion, DHT, blood circulation, and oxygenation of the tissues. A good blood flow makes it possible for the reactions between myoglobin, oxygen, and glucose to occur, and produces the energy needed to keep the capillary follicles healthy. The atrophy of one of the head muscles determines different types of hair loss, and that's the reason why this effect does not manifest itself uniformly by everyone who loses hair. The study about this phenomenon and a deep understanding of the life and composition of hair has brought about the creation of the EndHairLoss.eu full program. Through its application, it is finally possible to stop hair loss permanently and without side effects. Thank you for your attention, and see you in the next module.